Hi, I'm Gary. Welcome to my shop. In this video, I'm going to show you how to make a breast cancer pen with a PSI kit. This starter kit I bought came with 3 pen kits, 2 bushings and 2 drill bits, an 8mm and a 3/8 inch. This is an easy kit to make, and you can be able to accomplish this within a half hour. If this is your first kit, it may take you longer. PSI donates 5% of their sales to the Breast Cancer Research Foundation. You can donate further from your sales if you like. At the website I'll put in the description below. You can donate any amount you like, from 1% to 5% or more. Save up your contributions and do them on a frequency that works for you, such as weekly, monthly, or annually. In these videos you may see me in different attire, notes and captions across the screen, snippets I piece together as I later remember, oh, I need to include this piece of information. Please bear with me as I don't have a production crew. I'm a DIY YouTuber. You can pause, stop, replay the clips, and keep doing that until you can get a grasp on what's being presented. I do that a lot myself. I'll watch entire videos many times over. Be sure to exercise good shop safety to protect yourself. I may have safeguards removed in my videos, but that is solely for clarity to demonstrate a process. Keep your safeguards in place to protect yourself from injury. Well, safeguards are, but not limited to, safety glasses, hearing protection, lung protection, push sticks and other guides so you don't cut off any body parts or fingers. Be safe. So this starter kit comes with 3 pen kits, a rose gold with pink jewels, a 24 karat gold with clear jewels, which look like white diamonds. But note that this is not the 24 karat TN, like Tom and Nancy, that carries the lifetime warranty, so be careful of any warranties you give to your customers. Granted, 90% of the defects are never claimed because people forget it or they just don't want to bother with it. The third kit is chrome with pink jewels. Now each of these come with like a thank you in there and a certificate in regards to the contribution that is going to be made to the Breast Cancer Foundation. Also, there's a 3-bushing set, or 3-piece bushing set. Note how these 3 pieces go together here as they fit. They're different sizes on these. So when you put it on your pen mandrel, you want to make sure you're getting these on correctly, because these are going to determine the body sizes for the different parts of the pen. This kit also comes with 2 drill bits. One is a 8mm brad point bit. The other is, in this package, it's a 3/8 high-speed steel drill bit, carbide drill bit, which is made for drilling metal. It's a 120-degree angle on this. Most of the pictures in PSI's catalog show these pens with acrylic bodies. If you're going to use acrylic bodies, these drill bits are not suitable. You'll need acrylic bits, as I have here. This is an 8mm and this is a 3/8. You will see here that these bit tips have a much steeper angle to them. That is specifically for drilling acrylics and preventing pressures that may crack the acrylic. Other bits, the angle is just too shallow to prevent that problem. So those may be special drill bits you'll need to order separately. When drilling acrylics, you'll need to go slow and give it breaks. The acrylic heats up quickly and can become malformed and crack if you go too fast or if you get it too hot. So go slow and easy. That's one of the reasons why it costs more to make pens out of acrylics. Beautiful results, but more expensive and more labor intensive. Now, in addition to this starter kit, I bought a 6-pack of blanks, and it came with 2 each of the following lava break colors. Got a pink crush, which I'll use with the rose gold kit, and a hot pink crush, which I'll use with the 24 karat gold kit. There's also the pink aqua pearls and a hot pink aqua pearl. Also bought 2 blanks of this lady's line white marble that is white with veins to make it look like a white marble. I'll use this one with the chrome kit. Now I'll get on with this project and make a kit out of the rose gold with a pink crush acrylic body. Tools you're going to need. You're going to need a lathe chisels for shaping, preferably carbide tip for doing acrylic. High-speed steel works great for wood. And you will need these acrylic sanding pads for wet sanding. They're double-sided for different grits. They go from a 600 grit all the way up to a 15,000 grit. Also, you will need a polishing and buffing system that mounts into the lathe itself. It's a couple of cloth wheels that spin that you can polish up the acrylics on to get them to a high gloss. Then you would also need a pen assembly press for putting the parts together and pressing them together. And you should have some nice packaging for your finished product. People pay a lot for this product, as much as $60 or more. So you want to package it nicely, not in some cheap plastic pocket or wrap. You want to package it nicely. Okay, in this kit for the breast cancer pen kit, rose gold with the pink jewels. This is a kit number PKB CPRG, as you can see there. In this kit, it comes with a thank you card. On the back of it, it says, thank you. Making this pen creates a contribution to the breast cancer research. And at the bottom line here is where you can put your name there as the maker. Also in here is the instructions and information. Instructions in the assembly of the pen, lathe turning information. Then the kit contains two brass tubes. One's a 8mm, the other one's a 3/8. Transmission for the twist pin. A pocket clip. The pen refill and a spring to go with that. An end cap for the end of the pen. This is a middle joint where the pen, two pieces join together. This is a band that goes in the middle of it. And then the pen tip and this rose colored metal. And then this goes towards the cap, and this is the one that's got the jewels on it in pink. Then, like I said, I'm going to use this Pink Crush Lava Bright blank to make this pen out of. What I do is I have to measure up to see where I want to cut my body at. I'm going to cut this in two pieces. So I mark it here just slightly longer than a brass tube. And this one just slightly longer than this brass tube. Then I'll go to the bandsaw, cut this out to these lengths. Here at my bandsaw, I got this on my sled. I will cut these to length at these marks. These are the two pieces I will use. This one's leftover piece of scrap. I can maybe use for something else somewhere along the line. Double check that my brass tubes fit. And we're perfect. Good. My next step here is to mark centers on these pieces. I use a small center finder here for doing this. It looks like that on the back. And I'll put it on the workpiece here like this. I try to hold it in a consistent manner all the time. And I just need to draw a little bit of a line on there. It doesn't have to go end to end. And then I go around and make that mark along all four corners. Hold this consistently. The reason I do that is because these square pieces are never typically perfectly square. So you can see there that it's a little bit off. So what you do is find the center on that, and I'll put a dimple in there with my scratch awl. That gives my drill bit a point, to get on and keep straight. So I find my center there, I scratch awl on there, make a little bit of a dimple. Be careful you don't slip and stab yourself with this thing. Then I want to draw a circle around the outside perimeter of that as well as I can for doing some trim work later on with my bandsaw. So I'll adjust this. Pencil may not show up real good, but it does show up some. So now you can see I've got that circle drawn on there. I'm going to use that as a guide after I drill this out for the appropriate holes that I need. I'll mark up this other piece the same way to prepare that for drilling, and then I'll put it on the bandsaw and trim off these edges based on where that circle's at. Here at the drill press, I've got my piece into my holder that holds the blanks for vertical drilling, and I will drill this through. This is the short piece I'm doing first, so I'm using the 3/8 bit first. As you can see by the steep pitch of the point, this is an acrylic bit. Now I'll have to stop periodically, clear things out, and let the workpiece and the drill bit cool on occasion. So checking for the temperature. It's getting warm, so a little bit more, and I'll have to stop and let it cool for a little bit. I'll let that cool for a little bit. Okay, so I gave that 5 minutes. The bit's cool, so I'm ready to go some more. Also want to note that I did put a piece of wood in here to support underneath this piece. It's just like drilling through any other wood or materials to make a cleaner cut when you come out on the other end. Ooh, that bit's getting hot again, so give it another 5 minutes here. Okay, cooled down again, ready to go some more. Felt like I just barely started to poke through down there. There we go. I like to go slow and easy so I don't crack or blow out anything on the other end there. I'll get this off. Drop that a little bit. As you can see, I got through it. No blowouts or anything. And I kept on center with my circle here to have a good centering. Okay, now I've put in the longer piece, and I've changed out to the 8mm bit because this longer piece requires the 8mm tube. And same process. Another 5 minutes has passed. Drill bit's cooled down again. What I use for counting down these things are these timers. You can get these about $10 at the Walmart or elsewhere. And you can also, if you got a smartphone, they've got timers on there too. You can use those. I use these timers for counting down for me, times for like cooling these down, or maybe glue up times or paint times, and a lot of different things. Maybe the best idea for cleaning out that debris out of the flutes of the drill bit is like a little wire brush here. That works great. Okay, we're getting through that one. And we're through it. And as you can see, we've got it all the way through. And got a good center around that circle there. So that's good. Okay, here at the bandsaw, I'm going to trim off the 4 corners of these pieces so it's like an octagon shape. Less corners to catch on my lathe chisel when I've got it on the lathe. As you can see here, I've got it lined up along that circle that I had traced in there before I did the drilling. So now I'll just cut this, take off these corners. Being very careful, of course, to keep your fingers from going through that. One of the reasons for a push stick. Sometimes it works well, sometimes it don't, but you can see how I got that. So that it's got fewer corners to do that. So now I'll do this to the other piece, and I'll be ready to go to the lathe. The next step is to glue these brass tubes into these blanks for the pens. First one here, the longest one, is a 8 millimeter. And I just take a little bit of like 220 sandpaper, clean up the tube a little bit, get off any corrosion that may have occurred over time. I've got this pen insertion tool here for the brass tubes. I can slide that on there. I'll spread some glue on it. Piece handy there. This is a medium CA glue that I'm using. I'll put some on there. Kind of twirl this in a little bit. And make sure I've got it in there enough and no ends are protruding out at all. And the same with the short one here. Clean up the brass a little bit. Insertion tool. A bit of CA glue on there. Dribbles off a little bit even. Get that on there. So the tubes are in there, and we'll give that time to set up. Give it, perhaps about 5 minutes or so. Next, I need to trim the ends with a barrel trimmer, and this one fits right in through the tube, the brass tube. And this is an 8 millimeter guide. I got a kit that comes with a number of different size guides, from 7 millimeter up to even to 3/8. I think something larger than that, maybe a 10 millimeter too. What I'll do is trim these down to be even, and it makes it square with the blank, so the ends are square and everything fits together correctly and there's no ugly gaps showing. I'll trim this down until I see the shiny brass of the brass tube. This is something, I go very slow and easy with this. This is a carbide bit. If you go too fast, it can catch on you. If it catches, that can perhaps wreck your blank. Starting to see the brass tube. There, I believe I'm to it. Yep. Then what I'll do is flip this over and do the other side too. Kind of finesse this, get it fit into the hole correctly. I like to line it up before you get started. I've got the brass tubes on that one too. And I'll do the same for the other piece. The other piece, of course, I will use a 3/8 guide for trimming the ends. Well, here's a good lesson. As I was doing this one, I chipped it out because I went a little too hard and fast, so I'll have to make another blank of this and get this tube out of here and start over with this piece. Next step is at the lathe, and I've got both my pieces now squared up on the ends for the brass tubes and everything. I use a standard 7mm pen mandrel. Then the first bushing that goes on is for the 8mm. You can tell it's thinner than the 3/8 one. So that goes on. The longest piece here is the 8mm piece. When I turn these, I usually try to put the business end of the pen or the ink end of the pen at the head of my lathe. It kind of gives me a constant shape on how I do it. The middle bushing goes on. Then the back piece, which is the 3/8 one, and then that final bushing on there. Now on the tailstock, I use this, what they call mandrel saver, because the mandrel can fit through this and all the way through, so you don't have to use spacers on the mandrel. Fits into the tailstock comes up, lock it down, loosen that up, tighten up the tailstock a little bit, snug that down, slide my banjo or my tool rest into place, try to get it fairly centered on my work and a distance enough away here I can put my lathe chisel on here, and I've got good support under it. Now this one is a Carbide Magic lathe chisel. It's got carbide tips on it, and these are replaceable. And I'm using the straight edge first, just to get this down to a round or a cylindrical shape. And then once I've got that, I'll switch it to the slightly rounded bit. This just rotates. Then the slightly rounded bit gives me more control for shaping it. So I've got this down to a pretty good round cylindrical shape. Now I'll change my bit on this to get more of a curved shape so I can have better control of getting a shape there. What I'll try to do is to get these ends down here close to the bushings, leave a little bit left for sanding, and then I'll shapen the middle of it more to make more of a curved shape, or a gentle curved shape on both of these. As you can see, that's getting down to pretty good there. So I think at this point I'll start doing the sanding. For the sanding here, I will use a bowl of water here, and I use the sanding pads that take me from 600 grit to 15,000. I'll put it over here in a pan. It's kind of like a baking pan for brownies or something. Kind of help keep the water contained and everything. And then I will move my banjo out of the way. And I will start this up. Slow the speed down a little bit. Now the yellow pad is the 600 grit. That's what I will start at. Okay, to get a start, I'll lay a cloth across my lathe bed, protect it from the water so it doesn't get all rusty. Start this up at a lower RPM and just start doing some sanding here with these wet sanding pads. Go back and forth. Rinse off the debris on occasion and shake it off. Stop periodically, check it out, see how it's coming out. It's looking good, so I'll keep continuing with that. Just keep continuing working through the various grits. Thing to watch for is to make sure you're not getting any lines on this from the edges of your sanding pad. You want to make sure there's no lines on there and it all looks smooth. So that's getting a pretty good polish on there through 15,000 grit. Next step is to buff it. I will take this apart off the mandrel, the individual pieces. Take this pen mandrel out. Also have to take this, take this end out because I'm going to put in a 60-degree conical one. And this is the cotton buffer that goes on. Then this tailstock goes up to that and to the end here. Just tighten it a little bit. Snug this. You don't have to get this very tight at all. You can apply some buffing compound on this wheel. You can see there's a little bit of blue on there already. Good idea, maybe apply a little bit every time you're doing it. And it's just applying this on there like that. Then I'll crank this up a little bit. polish these off. These make for some very highly polished pieces. Have these parts laid out in the order which are supposed to be assembled, and this is the pen press that we'll use for assembly. The first parts to go together is this tip end into this longer barrel. Take out a spacer so I can get this situated on here. Okay. Next, I will press coupler into the other end of this barrel. Note that it's got a slight indentation here, a little bit smaller, and then this edge here is threaded. So you don't want to put this threaded end into this barrel. You just want to put this indentation part into there and press that into place. Next is to put the spring over this refill, ink refill. Insert that into this mechanism. Take this transmission mechanism, as we call it, and put that on there, and then it just screws right onto that. Then when this twists, it'll make the pen writing instrument extend. Now this cap nut goes into the upper portion here. Press the cap nut into there. And this assembly presses together with that. Then we put the cap nut on with the pocket clip. Tighten that down. Then this screws together with that. And we have a completed breast cancer pen. Here's the finished product I will post on Etsy. Okay, for replacing the ink refills on these pens, it's simply you twist these two parts apart. It unscrews. Then you have access to the ink refill. Same with putting it back in. Screw it back together until you feel some resistance. And then you're back together again. Ready to go. I hope you enjoyed this video and learned something from it, or got the inspiration to make something of your own version of something. If you did, please give me a like and share this video. To see my future videos, please subscribe to see what I may come out with next. Thank you.